Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening to the stock, what we can expect moving into tomorrow, really, to close off the week and potentially the rest of the month as well. So as per usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, I do have a membership on YouTube for just $2.99 a month. You can access all my intraday thoughts, post updates on Tesla and other stocks as well, broader market. For instance, I shared a fresh stock that I just entered today on a trade. It is actually literally my only swing trade I'm currently holding. Otherwise, I'm pretty much all cash. But yeah, just again, $3 a month, or for $5, access to all of that I just mentioned, plus NVIDIA daily updates as well if you're interested. But let's jump into it. NVIDIA closing the day up actually a nice respectable 1.6% on a slightly red market day. NVIDIA with phenomenal strength, with calls just pretty much flooding in on this thing. It's actually pretty unbelievable, like ungodly how many calls are flooding in on this thing. It's pretty surreal, I'll be completely honest. 120 million confirmed bullish flow. The bulls are just truly, but once NVIDIA gets going, though, I don't think I've ever seen a stock this utterly crazy on bullish momentum in terms of calls being, just flown in like NVIDIA. It kind of reminds me of when Tesla was back all the way in, back all the way in the 2020s and 2021 days. It's freaking awesome. It's crazy powerful, right? But again, options flow is one thing, the chart is another. So let's talk about the chart, right? What do I see with the chart? Well, like I said yesterday, and I'll continue saying today, is the chart bearish? No. Do I see any top signals for NVIDIA right here on this daily close? No. The chart still looks good. My indicators still look good. Everything looks bullish. Now, like I said before, and I'll continue saying until it's no longer the case, it is overbought. It's absolutely overbought. There's no other way to put it. The stock is very overbought. My bands are saying it's overbought. MACD could be more overbought. Actually, MACD I would say is not too overbought. It's just maybe slightly, but barely. RSI, very overbought. Stochastic was overbought. Even you can argue the TSI is starting to get overbought. The BX Trender is starting to get to very elevated levels. But again, overbought doesn't mean bearish. Overbought, like I said, just means how much more juice is there left to squeeze. Clearly, the bulls think there's more juice left to squeeze, and there might be more juice left to squeeze. I don't know how much more there is, but the way I look at it is, well, looking at the chart strictly, do I see anything bearish? Absolutely not. So I can see NVIDIA moving a little bit higher, maybe closer to actually 136 itself, right? Maybe probably as early as tomorrow. Honestly, it's a pretty strong close. I'd be pretty surprised if it doesn't see 136 tomorrow, to be completely honest. If we close above 136, 135 to 136, however, and we close a daily candle above it, or on like the 1 hour time frame, if we go above it and we start turning it into support visibly, essentially, right? Expect 140s and expect a retest of all-time highs. It's just that simple, right? The stock is extremely powerful. And if you're someone looking at the stock right here and being like, I'm going to short right here, right now, good luck. You could be right, and you could maybe, take the top of the stock. That is a possibility, but you're pretty much gambling because right now there is no sign of bearishness on the stock yet. It still looks very powerful. Again, with that being said, I do ultimately still believe at some point, I don't know when, at some point, it will curl back down and retest this breakout. I do very strongly believe that'll happen. I have no idea when. I'm not shorting it to that area. I'm just patiently waiting. If it gets there at some point, fantastic. I will be in a position again. If it doesn't, that's fine. There's other things to trade. So that's just the way I'm eyeballing right now. But again, closing a daily candle above 135 to 136 signals to me 140 is probably next for a retest of all-time highs. However, if we ever lose 130, that to me signals we're on our way back down to retest 123, 124, something like that, right? So for now, pretty much what I'm expecting is just chop. I expect chop within this range until one of these levels above or below finally gives. One of them will at some point give. I don't know which one it'll be. If I had to guess, I actually think that there's a higher chance the bottom one will give before the top one, because again, it's just so overbought that it's hard for me to imagine that there's gonna be that much more room to the upside left before some cool off. So probably the best case for bulls, in my opinion, is actually just a sideways correction for like a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks potentially. Just sideways correction, just dancing between these levels and then ultimately break up finally. That's also a possibility, right? You could do a bull flag like this because you can have sideways corrections. A correction doesn't mean it has to move down. It can, it doesn't mean it has to. So just keep that in mind, right? That's always a possibility as well. But again, to me, at these levels, it is very, very elevated. It's not a risk versus reward position that I'm personally interested in. To me, the risk is way too high for how much, in my opinion, little room there is to the upside still before I ultimately come back down to my personal target that I'd be very happy to restart a position, 123, 124, something like that, and I'll just be patiently waiting for that, right? But again, I should make it very clear: NVIDIA bullish flow is just relentless. It is like shockingly relentless. Like this, if I was a bear and I was holding puts right now, and especially if I was down on those puts and I saw this kind of flow come in, yeah, I'd be sweating. I'll be completely honest. I would be sweating. This is why I don't short. I almost never short, and I almost never buy puts unless it's strictly a hedge. Yeah, it's really strong. So, hey, good luck if you're shorting. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, stock looks strong. Stock looks powerful. Watch for those levels, 135 to 136, and below that, 130. Again, break above 135, 136, we see 140. Break below 130, we see 123 roughly. And I, for now, assume that's going to hold. That'll also be a perfect way for the stock to finally truly reset the overbought levels as it catches up to the median part of the band, which is that middle white line there. And I think that'll be a pretty damn good spot for NVIDIA to hold and then make its way back up, and at the very least retest all-time highs if it doesn't, probably within the next week, or maybe even break into new all-time highs as well, assuming this retest holds and it does not end up being something that just pretty much collapses back under, which would be very bearish if that happens. I don't know if it will. I assume it won't. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at for NVIDIA. Not much really more to update. Honestly, the stock is surprising for how volatile it is, for how big of a 3.3 trillion market cap, and this thing swings around as if it's like almost like a mid-cap stock. It was hilarious to me. But despite that, I actually like the way NVIDIA moves. It moves in a very clean way. The stock tends to have overall like pretty clean movement, which I like. It's movement that just kind of makes sense. So I actually like the way the stock trades quite a bit. It's a very clean stock and very clean movement, which is a very nice thing to see, especially when you're spending most of your time staring at Tesla's not so clean moves. Let's just say that. But yeah, anyway, clean moves, and I expect clean tests and breaks. Again, 135, 136, 130. Watch for those levels. When those levels break, if one of them does break, you know what level to look out for the next range as well. But yeah, that's probably the main thing I'm looking at right now for NVIDIA. Not much more to update there until we start seeing bearish situations and signs form on the stock. I assume it's not going to be bearish. I see no reason to be bearish on the stock, and I see no reason to even think about shorting the stock unless you're someone that likes to try and top tick stocks, kind of like I like to bottom tick stocks personally. If someone likes to top tick stocks as a bear, as someone that buys puts, good luck. The issue with that is the fact that, well, time is kind of against you if you're buying puts. At least with shares, time is not against me. There's, in my opinion, it's more flexible. So yeah, it's a strong stock. It's looking powerful. The weekly is looking damn strong as well, even though it's kind of getting a little bit overbought. But the MACD is curling up on the weekly as well. Like if this thing crosses bullish up here, that could be pretty ridiculous, man. Like this that could be kind of insane if that actually happens. It's gonna need a bigger push. I think it'll have to at least break all-time highs for that to happen. But if it does, it's hard to believe that there's potentially quite a decent move still ahead on this stock, considering if you zoom out on this thing, it pretty much looks like it's already went parabolic, but unironically, there could be a bit more. Now, I will say, despite all this bullishness, there is some signs of concern. And I would say probably the biggest sign of concern for me right now for NVIDIA is there's a massive weekly bearish divergence where you can see it's pretty much making constant lower highs over here, while the stock is making pretty much higher highs for the most parts, right? So that's a bit of a concern. That is a massive weekly bearish divergence, which is concerning. Whether or not that'll actually play out is another story in itself. But if there's one thing to be, I guess, concerned about amidst all this bullishness, I would say that would be probably it. But yeah, all in all, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.